Their steps move in harmony. The ambitious young swordsman visited the Hall of Companions in hopes of becoming a great warrior. Upon meeting the Harbinger, the swordsman asked, "If I start now, how long before I can become a companion?" The Harbinger stroked his grey beard and replied, 10 years. The swordsman could not wait that long. "What if I trained every day?" he asked. 5 years then, the Harbinger replied. To that, the swordsman inquired, "Well, what if I train day and night?" 20 years then, the Harbinger said, his face stretching into a yawn. "That makes no sense," the swordsman answered. The Harbinger looked him in the eye and cracked a wry smile. "Oh, it makes sense," he said, "for you see, those who hurry are slow to learn." Steps move in harmony. An adventurer treads through a cave when he is attacked by trolls. He runs towards a ledge and attempts to descend down a vine of hanging moss. It is then that he discovers a pack of wolves at the bottom, waiting hungrily for his arrival. Only the moss sustains him. If he waits, he knows that help may arrive. The cave is frequented by warriors and adventurers alike. It is then that he notices the dagger lodged in the rock beside of him. It is just beyond his reach, but he thinks he can lunge for it. If he lets go of the moss, thinks... One must both have purpose and flexibility. He may walk a path of many roads to the same destination. He may not know where the destination lies until the moment he arrives at it, and even then, it may not fulfill his true purpose. I am reminded of the story of a carpenter who was tasked with hanging a painting for the Count. The painting was hung over the bedchamber, and while it seemed to be a perfect fit, the Count nevertheless told the carpenter to take it down. Back and forth the pair went, from the study to the great hall, each time the Count requesting the carpenter to hang the painting, then remove it, after walking the breadth of the castle. At long last, they returned to the bedchamber. Only this time, when the painting was hung, the Count was satisfied, for only by seeing all other alternatives did he know his choice was true. And thus, my request is this. If you will do me the honor of being my carpenter, and I yours, then I will forever be in your debt. What can Qa Dojo do for you? Then I implore you to ask them. To ask a question is to risk being a fool, but to cling to silence is to remain. What can Qa Dojo do for you? The Aedra are thought to be callous because they are indifferent, too often leaving mortals to their own devices. It reminds me of the parable of the acolyte priestess who stole from the alms bowl. The other acolytes beseeched the head priest to investigate the matter and cast the thief out. Yet the priest replied that he already knew the identity of the thief. The acolytes, angered, threatened to leave if the culprit was not revealed. "If I cast the thief out," he replied, "how will he ever learn remorse? If you leave, how will I ever teach you forgiveness?" That is one interpretation. The priestess overwhelmed by her master's kindness, would realize the error of her ways. Perhaps driven by guilt, she would expose herself as the thief, and through her bravery, truly achieve the forgiveness of her peers. For any other path would result in bitterness and resentment, although these provide their own lessons, should the head priest choose to teach them. I pay homage to the divines as a whole, and the invisible thread that is woven between them. One does not look at a centipede and see 15 separate segments. One cannot focus on a leaf, for in doing so he will neglect the whole tree.
You've stopped. I patiently await your counsel.
Boethia is the prince of plots, deceit, and conspiracy. Such words are sinister when spoken in the void. Yet, when the scales of power tip toward tyranny, when the strength of the dishonorable cannot be vanquished by a frontal assault, Boethia is there. Mola Gabal, meanwhile, is her nemesis. For he is strength and domination, and those who enslave others do so in his name. Although Boethia teaches us that strength can be vanquished, Mola Gabal demonstrates that weakness is not a virtue. Mehrunes Dagon is the facilitator of destruction, the great equalizer of this plane. For when life is allowed to grow unchecked, it will wither from its own abundance. Such is the complexity of life. For all intentions, all actions, flow on the waves of balance. What can Qa Dojo do for you?
A young monk, just out of the litter, trained at the temple in the art of casting spells. Although many of the students were his seniors, there was one female wood elf with whom he shared an age, and they became fast friends. The first lesson was in illusion. The master cast a fury spell on a stray hound, and each student took turns calming it. The monk wanted very much to impress the young elf. Yet, his attempts to calm the beast failed, and each subsequent attempt only incensed it further. The other students jeered. They saw the frustration on his face and suggested he use the calm spell on himself first. The monk continued to cast spell after spell in vain. He wanted to quit, to end his humiliation, but the master would not allow it. He realized that the only way out was to drive the dog into a frenzy and force the master to kill it. And so, distracted by neither desire, ambition, pride, nor shame, he cast the spell once more, and the dog fell into a deeper sleep.
Trained as a priest of Stendar, but I felt the temple did not do enough to disavow the militants who walk the land in his name. I considered converting to the Temple of Julianos, and had packed for the great chapel in Skingrad to begin my training. There was only one item I could not find, my copy of the book Aedra and Daedra. I scoured every corner of my quarters, until at last I saw it. It was placed on top of a high bookshelf. Now, They say those who hurry only slow themselves in the end. If only I heeded such sage advice. Instead of reaching for the footstool, I attempted to climb the shelf, only to fall flat on my tail. However, as it so happens, I lost my balance but gained my footing, for when my head struck the ground, I had a vision. It was an act of the divines, as was the placement of the book, and the title of the book itself. In my vision, I saw a constellation of gods, Aedra and Daedra. They made no distinction between themselves, for one were all, and all were one.